Well, good evening. Welcome to On Eagle's Wings, greatest audience on the planet. One of the missions of On Eagle's Wings is to try to bring attention to a really important safety, security kind of measures you can take so that when a crisis occurs, you're in your very best place. Our very first guest, well, we spent a lot of time talking about physical development and caring for yourself, especially for folks that are older. And tonight, a very special group of men are joining me to talk about I think, an absolute critical killer in a good way product that they've come up with. And it's a great story behind it. So I look forward to spending some time with them and bringing this to the greatest audience on the planet. Please welcome the Locator 911 Freedom team. Danny Cupples, Carl Brooks, and Johnathan. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you so much for spending a few valuable minutes with me and this audience to talk about it. I start almost or end all my shows with God's peace that surpasses all knowledge and understanding. I use that as a kind of a healing psalm to the situations because a lot of times you don't get a chance to really understand what is going on. But if you have peace and you have it together, you can respond properly. And that's what really made me interested when Amanda, the outstanding producer that always is working hard, brought us together to talk about this. Because in countless times, if you have the ability to maintain your composure, your peace, you can handle it. And this is a kind of a segue into what you guys have developed and brought online. And I'm really, really impressed with it. But let's do quick introductions. I'll start with you, Danny, because you and I have spoken a few times. Please introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your background and what we're talking about.
Okay, I'm Danny Cupples. I'm a critical care paramedic. I've been in EMS since 1989. Um, so I've been a first responder that long and have firsthand seen many times how hard it is to find someone's residence. I am also a death investigator, a forensic investigator, a cold case investigator. So I wear a lot of hats in the first responder field. I kind of work with law enforcement, and so I kind of get a taste of all the fields of first responding.
And Carl, first time we've got a chance to talk. How do you fit in on the team?
Well, Jonathan and I go back a long ways, 30 plus years. He's a great guy to know, and we just had a connection for many years. I'm in the real estate business, on a real estate company, and I have a number of doctors and medical professionals in my family. Two of my sons are doctors, and I have a daughter-in-law that's a doctor, and my wife is a registered nurse. She's retired, but she has that. So the medical industry is a big part of what this light bulb's about. And Johnathan, in his wisdom and brilliance, came up with something that saves lives.
Absolutely.
Well, it's fantastic. Well, Johnathan Harrison, if I
yes, sir,
properly, you are kind of the linchpin that's holding the cart and wagon here to the horse. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as Danny said, I'm retired now from paramedicine, but I was a paramedic for nearly 25 years. I began in EMS in 1993. And here again, throughout my entire career, there were just so many times that 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes could have been saved had we been able to find the house or whatever we're looking for quicker. And ultimately, it came to pass in the fall of 2009 when I had a call that I went on that ultimately did not end well. And I remember vividly telling my partner that night, there's something we can do. We've got to do something. You know, I didn't know what it was at the time. But as time progressed on and technology came around, I figured out what I wanted to do. And Danny, because I worked with Danny for years, I just went to Danny, and he was the first person of our team that I brought on board. That I just sat down and had a meeting with him. I said, "This is what I want to do. I think it can help everybody." And he agreed, and off we went to the races. So yeah.
It's obviously that you have formed a very fraternal and very strong bond based on your work, but also based on the ability to care and have concern about what's going on around you. You made
Yes.
mention of a couple minutes. Explain to everybody what that difference of a couple minutes can mean.
So the best way I guess explain it, or for you to understand, is just hold your breath. Just start to hold your breath as long as you can hold your breath and count. If you go 30 seconds and you can't hold your breath any longer, imagine if you weren't breathing and it goes 2, 3, 4 minutes past that. 4 minutes, when you're speaking of CPR, the heart's not beating, 4 minutes is what they're saying now. Now, Danny, I've been out of the field for a little while. Danny may have to help me out here, but after 4 minutes, the chance of survival with good CPR starts to fall dramatically.
Sure.
So you want to get oxygen in the blood to the brain, to the heart as soon as possible. If it's a stroke, you want to get that person to pharmacological care as soon as possible. If it's that's the way you need to go. So time is everything in an emergency. It doesn't even have to be a medical emergency. It could be a domestic violence case.
Sure.
It could be a fire. It could be anything. Here again, a minute to 2 minutes doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when your heart's not beating, it's a lifetime, and that's
Absolutely.
what we're trying to take. That's what we're trying to take out of the equation.
And really, no pun intended there, but that is truly it is a lifetime, and that's the critical point. Let's talk a little bit about the product itself. Let's start out with that. We have a light bulb that fits standard fixtures. It is designed to be outside. As when folks go to your website, it's pretty clear you don't need to have any real special gear or real special training to make it work. You don't even need an Android or a smartphone to have this connection. And I bring that up first and foremost because with older parents, I give them gear, and if it's not readily understandable, readily usable, I go over almost every week with my mom a flip phone, trying to get her to understand, how to make a call, how to work with that.
Yeah,
that's what I thought was one of the most intriguing and just ingenious things that you came up with. Explain what we have with the bulb.
Sure. So essentially what you do is the Locator 911 Freedom Bulb. And we named it the Freedom Bulb, obviously, because it's America. But the freedom means that it is free from Wi-Fi networks, free from smartphones, free from anything. You simply screw the bulb into a receptacle. You power the switch on. Within the first 30 seconds, the bulb comes with a small remote. It has a white button and a red button. Within the first 30 seconds that you power the bulb on, you hit the white button 3 times, and it's going to pair that bulb with the remote. At that point, you can use the bulb just like a regular bulb with the light switch on and off. Now, obviously, it has to be on for it to do its job, but once the light is on, if you need 911 services, you make your call to 911 and you grab the remote, and white is white, red is emergency. You hit the red button and it's going to start that emergency flashing pattern, changing from red to blue to white. It's going to identify the exact location or home or apartment that has called for help. This simple bulb would have given us easily 4 minutes back to that 2-year-old child in 2009. Without a doubt, it would have given us that time back. So we've got we've got guys and or families all over the country that have bought this thing in retirement communities and apartment complexes. We've gotten messages from a 911 director in Florida who saw us on Facebook. He bought the bulb. 3 months later, his daughter, who was 2 years old, started choking, and he lived in a congested neighborhood. He sets his bulb off. He calls 911, or obviously calls 911 and sets his bulb off. Paramedics get there, boom, Heimlich maneuver, object comes out. He lets us know that, guys, they found our house with no problem. They said, we saw you before we even turned the corner. So right there alone, it just, it's amazing. It does its job. It's simple, but it does its job.
Hey, Jonathan, can you actually, to tie that into your story, tell what happened in that story and what got
Sure.
your idea going? I know you hit on it a little bit, and
Yeah.
then I think people will understand how that really comes together.
Absolutely.
Sure. So now, granted, I'm not gonna say any counties or names or anything like that, but I was working in this particular county at that point for about 12 years. It was about 1:30 in the morning. We had been up all day and all night. We had just laid down to go to sleep to try to get some rest. We got a call for a possible child, 2-year-old, in cardiac arrest. Now, Danny can back me up on this. Fortunately, that's usually not the case. Kids are very, very resilient. It's usually, fortunately, a parent is just, anxiety. They've, short of breath, or they're just strangled on something. It's usually not a cardiac arrest situation, but you have to treat it as such. So we get the call, we jump in the ambulance. Now, that particular county, we had a protocol, and this was after the first, I believe it was HP came out with one of the first GPS in-vehicle GPS deals that you could plug into a cigarette lighter. Well, we had that in the ambulance. Our protocol was, whether you know where you're going or not, you put it in the GPS. That's just, you get in trouble if you did. So we jump in the ambulance, we put it in the GPS, off we go. I knew the road, I knew where we were going. I also knew that the road was notorious about the numericals or the numbers being all jacked up, just different. Typically, when you pull onto a road, it's even on one side, odd on another. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, kind of that situation. We get onto this road. I'd already had the address in the GPS. They get with us on the radio. They said, be advised, CPR confirmed in progress. So this was not the latter. This was an actual cardiac arrest on a 2-year-old. So automatically, anxiety goes up. Kids will do it to you. And so we're still going. We're watching the GPS. We even had map books out back then. Had a map book out. The GPS says you have reached your destination. That's what it said. And we look up, and there wasn't a house light. There wasn't a mailbox. There wasn't a driveway. There was nothing. It was open fields. This was a rural county. Nothing. We saw nothing. 1:30 in the morning now. It's pitch black. So we kept going. Obviously, we didn't stop. So we kept going. Probably 3/4 of a mile farther down the road, we started to round a right-hand corner, and we saw the numerical that we were looking for, but it was on the opposite side of the road that it should have been on. And it was 3 other mailboxes with this thing. So it was the address, and then the other 3 mailboxes had B, C, D. So there were 4 mailboxes. And going up a long driveway, there were 4 mobile homes that were scattered kind of in a tree line that went up this about a 1/4 mile driveway. It was one of those. We had no idea. We had no idea which one it was. I got on the radio and I said, can you advise, there's 4 houses. We don't know which one to go to. They said, caller advises we're the third from the end. That's all she said. She was at home alone with her 2-year-old doing CPR. So in my mind, I assumed third from the end, meaning third from the top down towards the road, which should have been the second one we come to. I grabbed my jump bag, took off running, and luckily my partner had parked the ambulance about midways up. So I took off running, got to this mobile home. I was banging on the door, banging on the windows, nothing. It was the third from the very front of the driveway. It was all the way up the hill. So I took off running up there. He took the ambulance up. I got to the back door of the mobile home. The door was open. There was a screen door kind of deal on it. I opened it up and went inside, and she was I could hear her crying and screaming before I could get in the house. We get in, and sure enough, the 2-year-old was in not good shape. She was doing CPR. We took over this whole rigmarole with not finding the driveway, with the house, the whole deal. It added a little over 4 minutes to our arrival time. And like we spoke earlier, that's a huge number when you're dealing with this type of situation with a kid, with anybody. So we did everything we could do. Unfortunately, we did not have a good outcome with the child. When the call was over, like I said, I talked to my partner and I said, we got to do something. There's got to be something. And here again, I kind of knew in my head what I wanted to do, and it just wasn't the way I wanted to do it back then. And then finally technology comes around and I got ideas, and I had Danny, and here we are. So that's how I came up.
There's no easy, if I had one wish, no parent would bury a child. The world would be what it's supposed to be if that was the case.
Sure.
And obviously it still affects you. When I heard the story, when Danny was explaining it to me, it did the same thing with me. I think it's a great tribute, though, to this little girl, that her tragedy was not in vain, that you were able to come up with this kind of system, take advantage of technology, and have turned it into something very straightforward. We all know what a light bulb is. We all know how to turn them on and off. Everybody knows what a remote is now. And that difference is everything. And as you said, all the other applications. So Danny and Carl, a lot of people are going to tell me, well, this is for you folks that live out in the woods, out in the boonies, the rural area. And we talked a little bit about this when we did the prep for the show. That's not exactly correct.
That's not. And just kind of in what Johnathan was saying, that call that he said that we got in Florida, hearing that a child was saved because of our product, that just made that all come together. It's like, yes, this is why we did that. And you're right. It does help out in the county, out in a rural area, but our area, I know in all over the country, it's growing like crazy. These houses are popping up. It's so fast that the GPS coordinates can't keep up with everything. So in the areas where there's houses in the cities, you go down to a street, to a stop sign, and some of these numbers are just off, and you look left and you look right and think, which way do I go? With the locator, if you look left a half a mile down the road, you see the locator going off, bam, instantly turn left and go to it. Apartment complexes.
It's a big one.
The worst.
Absolutely. I can't even imagine how this isn't like swept through every
apartment complexes, and you A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever, 222, and this, oh my God, here we go. Now you're talking about slowing down the clock, dude. That slows down the clock. Now, we've got a few, I know here where I'm at, that's got them, not many. We need more. But even if a light was just on the building, just outside on that whole building, that would save so much time in the cities. It helps in all areas. I think Johnathan got a call from Chicago Fire that said, man, we could use this in big, tall buildings. Yeah. We put them on floors and get off the elevator, and we look left, look right. And if we see the light on the left, that's where we're going. Is left, and it's I get a taste of it all the time, because every call that I go out on as in an ambulance, we've got a fire truck and a police officer also going, and a lot of the times the fire department gets there first. I'm not saying they're quicker than we are, but sometimes they are. So when they're there first and we're behind them, we pull up on that street and we see the fire department, and that's our locator. And that's exactly what the locator does. And to get the I guess people out here in this country to understand that, I know it's hard to do, and it's been hard for us, but just like Jonathan's call that he talked about, if it would have took longer to get to a call, and it was our fault, maybe not our fault, but it was just like things fault, like the GPS was wrong or the mailboxes weren't set. That's terrible. But what if we could have been there quicker? Mentally, as far as like mental health wise, if we knew, man, if that light would have been there, I could have saved this kid's life. If it was there, we know we done everything we could. We got there as quick as we could. We done all the medicine, gave all the medicine that we know to do. We done CPR. We did, but if it's not there, we're thinking that could have been, those minutes could have been saved. Does that make sense?
Oh, it absolutely makes sense. And the part that that you're alluding to there very nicely is that the PTSD that you go through as a person that operates in this. I remember having a discussion with one of my sheriff's deputies, and they had a choice on where to go, which roadway to go, and they chose left when they could have gone right because they felt that they were going to get there sooner, and it turned out that was not a good way to go. And they were beside themselves. This deputy was beside himself because he got there 30 seconds to a minute later, and some really unpleasant things had started. Now, would that minute have made the difference? At that point, it's academic. You're dealing with especially in the profession that you gentlemen are in. You're dealing with that response. I can give you one allusion to it. When I flew search and rescue in the Coast Guard, when I was on my alert, very often, very similar to the fire station kind of setup. We stay overnight. I would always have my gear completely set in the aircraft, ready to go. And when I was an aircraft commander, I would send my co-pilot in to go get all the information. My crew would, be running to the aircraft. The crew that's going to launch us pulls us out, the maintenance crew, and we would have that thing fired up. And people would say, well, what's the difference on 30 seconds to a minute? It could be everything. For a vessel that's sinking, for at least getting to the spot before something goes under, to see the locator light, any of that stuff. Then you throw in things like hypothermia and all the other things that go on. Right. Those are kinds of concerns. That's what, again, it's an easy attachment for me when I saw this, because I don't mean to minimize when I use this word, but the pure simplicity of this is just absolutely spot on. It just hits the target in a beautiful way. Everybody knows what a light bulb is. There's nothing, cosmic going on with this that you have to spend a lot of time working and training with this. I had a case here at the house. My wife suffered a seizure. We have a 3-floor house. And I have her, they tell me where to move her and how to position her, make sure all the airway stuff, lots and lots of buddy care and emergency medicine that has been passed, all my time in the military. But even for the very rural area that I live in, they didn't know for sure which house it is, and it's marked. And then when you get there, how do you know you're at the right place? Because the GPS kind of brings you to a place between two houses. Yeah. Obviously, I had a very good signal. I have a dog that was barking, and he signaled and brought everybody in. There's also a very somewhat humorous, because it was a very good outcome with that emergency call. We also have a mini pig that lives in the house with us, and he doesn't particularly like people other than those that he knows. So in the middle of all this and making sure that I'm keeping her airway open, and I was concerned, I thought it was a stroke kind of situation, all those kinds of things that are going on. I had to get him shoved into a into a safe space and got everybody moved in. It would have dramatically made an impact, and that's why I have the light bulb on my house now, because
Awesome.
that's what you got to do. That's what you got to have. This is like having the backup generator at your house, having canned goods, having bottled water. This is important, and I mean we tend to go to the medical emergency. That tends to be the biggest focus, and it's a huge issue. Aging population. You've got families going back to what we had in the 20s and 30s, where you have multiple generations now, getting back into a house. You've got people diversifying how they're positioned around it. This is just an easy. I hate to use the word. You're kind of stupid for not jumping on this and making this work, because my plan. I'm going to try to convince my church to start buying them, so that we can put them with our older members of the church first, and that way that you have that ability. And Danny, you said something that just absolutely blew me away. The next town in is a fairly populated town. It has a grid set up, laid out in the 20s and 30s. The difference of being able to drive down a road at speed, moving down there, and knowing that you can see that light off in the distance. You don't know exactly where you're going, but you have a beacon that's telling you where to approach to.
It gives you an area to go to. It gets you closer where, you didn't take the wrong left or the wrong right or whatever.
Right.
Go away from the call. You're going towards the light.
And it also alerts your neighbors.
Hey, I had to use it back in December. Like you had an emergency for your wife. I had an emergency for mine. She's not doing well. She's got an autoimmune problem that she's dealing with, and she got really bad sick one morning early about 5 a.m. And I used it for our own emergency. And out here, way out in the country, it's where we live, and the ambulance just came right to our house. And these guys don't know where I live. I work in another county. They don't know where I live. And my neighbors, saying, like you just said, both my neighbors on either side, they were calling me, "Hey, Danny, what's going on? We see you had the light activated." So that alerts the neighbors as soon as you do it. And we tell people all the time that as soon as you call 911, activate that light. And that alerts your neighbors. Maybe a neighbor can come over and help. Maybe they can help render care. Who knows? But
Danny and Carl, you in real estate, some of the smartest people I ever knew were in real estate. Can you imagine the ability to respond to a fire when it's small? That prevents that from turning it into a major structure thing. And then we go every place in the United States, Canada as well. We go through these droughts. You go through a regional drought area. The quicker you get people there to be able to respond to that, protecting lives and then starting to fight the fire, it all the difference in the world. And in that case, I can tell you, minutes in a fire situation, huge, absolutely huge, especially when you have multiple floor dwelling, or you have a tightly, a compacted area where you have a lot of like apartments or townhouses and things like that. The sooner you get other people moving, the sooner you're going to save lives.
Well, this light not only will help with that type of situation, but it also helps if a family member is at home alone, or a wife or whatever.
Right.
And they hear a noise, and they can flip this light on, and if it is somebody that is intruding on or trying to break in, if this light comes on, more than likely they will leave. And so it acts as a safety device also.
What an unbelievably excellent point. We always, we have all these different levels now of response that are coming up, the non-lethal response stuff that's going on, and all that I fully support. It makes perfect sense. But the fact that you put that light on, we're back to the neighbors knowing the light's on. You make your emergency call, and that is going off. I mean, what a great point. Now, what I need to convince is some of the insurance companies to start saying that if you put that on there, they ought to kick some money back to you for doing it. If nothing else, they ought to reimburse you for the light.
Right.
But we'll save that for when we're all sitting in front of Congress or something, and we're trying to convince them that we'll all wear sunglasses that day, though. That they love that in DC when everybody's in sunglasses and black suits. They love that look. But seriously, it's just a tremendous pickup.
Commander, there's one thing really didn't hit on it. I'll tell you about a call that I went on. It was I don't know what the call was, but we got to the house. As we're driving, we can't see house numbers, but we see this little girl at the door flagging us down. Well, this is it. All right. So we get our bags out and we hike up to the door, and the little girl's just waving, and I open the door and run in, and this man says, "What are you doing in my house?" And he goes to get a gun, and he said, "You better get out or I'll shoot you." We was at the wrong house. So, with the locator, it also can save the lives of first responders, but not going to the wrong.
And that the times we live in, that is critical, because that's just a fact of life that we're dealing with now.
Yes.
And properly identifying and knowing where you're going. Properly, and again, I go back to it. When you alert other people around that this is happening, that awareness is what's going to help save lives and not have a tragedy, compounded on top of another serious situation that goes on, and it happens.
One of the best things that we as a group have done, we've got this light in a 55 and over community, and a lot of the streets have the same name, and it was very difficult to Danny and Johnathan, they know the community, to find people in there. Well, we got the light in every house. The residents there love that light, and EMS and the fire department tell us that it's cut down the time of arrival at least in half, and the residents there are tickled to death.
Well, this is working. This is out there. I just don't get the feeling that this is it, though, with you gentlemen. I get the feeling that you're thinking about other things. Anything you want to just tease us with in the audience a little bit about?
Go ahead, John.
Well, there's two things. So one is when we first launched, we do have a Wi-Fi version. Right now, we're searching for server opportunities to bring that back to for sale. But we do have a Wi-Fi version. Worked very well. But we're also working out, and here again, I don't want to go too far into it because, we just don't want to let too much out of the bag. But we're working on something that is mobile, that can be used in not just a home setting, but in a recreational setting. That my family, we love recreational fishing, camping, that kind of thing. If you've ever went to a campground, like RV campers, that type thing, tent camp, it doesn't matter. You spend at least, and this is factual, you would spend, if you come to a campground that you've never been to and you're looking for a campsite 26 and you got a camper, you're pulling a camper, you're trying to find your spot, you may pass it twice before you find it. It's wrote on the asphalt, or it's rubbed off, it's on a stick, it's on a tree, you just don't know. Imagine if you're set up in your camp and you have a heart attack or you have something to that effect. And you need help. Imagine the first responders that are coming at night or at any time trying to find one camper or one tent out of 200. It's an impossible task, but we've addressed that, and it's going to be coming hopefully pretty soon.
That's phenomenal. Do you think it's going to be at about the same price point that you guys are working at now?
Yeah.
God
Yeah,
bless
it'll
you.
be the
That
same
is
price.
just phenomenal on that. So we have a Wi-Fi enabled capability. Interesting. And one of the things I like about that is if the Wi-Fi capability is, God forbid I ever had something with my folks, I'm a couple hours away from them before I get to them. I'd love to be able to turn that on remotely, because they're at that age. So that would be a pretty nice feature to have.
Yes.
And of course, any kind of setup that you're at, like you said, the camping situation or any of those kinds of things. You're going to laugh when I say this. I spent a lot of time at airports, and many of the airports over the years that I worked at, small fields that I was working different kinds of projects, you couldn't distinguish one hangar from the next.
Correct.
This would be phenomenal because a lot of them we were living in. We lived and worked out of them. So, again, nothing good happens at 3 a.m. as the line used to be. It was a Marine sergeant that told me that. He was also explaining that it was around a bar or something like that. Nothing good happened in a bar at 3 a.m. That was his warning to us.
Yeah.
But again, this technology with a light bulb, moving it around, it's easily transported. What's the life of these that so far that you had out of it for the? It sounds, everything I could see, it looks like it's pretty much a digital setup that is going to go a long time. It's not incandescent. It has all the the stuff in it, and you designed it to go outside.
Correct. Yeah, it's the one that we have on the market now is, of course, obviously it's LED, has a lifespan of about 25,000 hours.
It's phenomenal.
So if you were to turn it on and leave it on, it should. Now, granted, you're gonna have problems. Everybody has a bulb that goes out, but
right.
In testing, you're looking at 24-hour burn. It comes out to about 5 to 6 years is what 28,000 or 25,000 hours is. So it's.
Say that again, Denny.
I said, that's leaving it on 24 hours a day. You're not going to do that.
Yeah, you're not going to do that
unless you really like the pretty lights and the colors.
Yeah, I mean, most people won't do that.
And I can tell you,
most, but Carl would, but not most people.
I thought, Commander, when we first started this process, I meant to say this earlier, and it just eluded me. I had the prototype at my house, and I had it in my front porch. And at the time, my mother, who has passed, but we were taking care of her. She was living with us, and I had to call the ambulance. She had oh my word, asthma attack. I can get it out in a minute. Asthma attack, and ended up turning into some pneumonia and whatnot. But so I called 911. I make sure mom's okay. I called 911, and we had built this house. It was a new house. It was right on a fairly large lake, and because it was a new house, Danny can back me up on this. Carl knows this, being in the real estate business. When you have a new house, most likely that has not been geoed, so you don't have data where they've came by and got your GPS location from that. So if you were to put my address at my other place that we had, if you were to put that in a GPS deal, it would say you've arrived at your destination halfway across the dam, which is about 3/4 of a mile from my house back then. So when I was on the phone with 911, I said, I told the dispatcher, I said, this is a heck of a time to kind of pitch a product. But I said, I'm going to have a light bulb that's flashing on my front porch, and it's changing colors. I said, tell the ambulance to look for the bulb that's changing colors and flashing, because the GPS, they're not going to find my house with GPS. So this was in February, so there were no leaves on the trees. I'm standing on my front porch. This was, I think, like 5:30 in the morning, something like that. I'm standing on my front, and I got this all on my Ring camera. So I got all of this footage of this. So I'm standing, and I look up over the hill, and I can see the ambulance coming. And I knew where they were on the road, and then I knew where the dam was, where it would usually stop you that said, hey, you've reached your destination. Well, they kept on, they never let up. They kept on coming, and then they pulled and got came right into my driveway. I had a circle driveway. They pulled in, and then they were getting out of the truck, and I walked down to tell them about my mom, what was going on with my mom. told the paramedic that, and he's like, okay, so we'll take care of it. He said, and he pointed, the locator's still going. And he pointed up, he said, what is that? I said, well, that's a product that me and some good friends of mine are about to bring to market. It's called the Locator. And he said, that is phenomenal. He said, I saw that from a mile away at the top of the lake hill. He said, I knew exactly where we were going. So I can say that the first person that ever used the Locator was my mom.
Well,
It was my mom.
that's what a tribute to your mom, and to have that kind of result, phenomenal. We talked ranges. The range of this visually is about a mile or greater.
You can see it from the air from 5 miles.
5 miles.
Or-
5 miles.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting point that you brought up about the air. Depending on how you position the light, that would be pretty phenomenal. Any thoughts about combining this with other power sources so that if the grid is down or if we have blackouts? Obviously, in my case, I have the generator that comes on, but I don't keep it on all the time.
Well,
If
let
it's
you explain that, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good explainer.
So the new bulb that we're working on, the new product, will be just that. There will be some charging capabilities while you do have power. Power goes down, bulb stays on. So it's still going to be functional whether you have power or not. That was a big, not that there was any drawbacks to the Wi-Fi bulb, but that was a big one. If your Wi-Fi were to go out or lose power and your Wi-Fi router goes out, that's it.
It's dead. It's not
dead.
gonna. You don't have a connection.
Exactly. So that's where the Freedom Bulb comes in. As long as you got power, you've got a life-saving bulb on your porch. Somebody can find you if they need to find you. What we're working on now is even if that fails, they're going to be able to find you. So,
I love the engineering that's going on here, and the kind of real world problem, and you just keep hammering it down, and then when you get that part, you're not satisfied, you're kind of restless, and you go to the next thing and the next thing. Now we've got a couple ads that I like to have everybody see. I mean, that looks like the perfect view that you're going to see from somebody in the vehicle as they're rolling up. It's clear what's happening, just where you're going. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah, that was an actual call. We get videos from all over. I think, what are we in, 48 states, Jonathan?
the only states that we do not have locator bulbs in is Hawaii and Alaska.
Oh, I can fix that. I got friends in both locations that I'm going to.
There you go. There you
That in
go.
the mail. We're going to get that stuff straightened out.
Yeah. So we get videos from all over the country. We've got, we have some of the stories on our website about success stories. I'm going to tell one quick one.
Take all the time you want.
Of course, I work for a very prominent EMS service in Tennessee, probably one of the best in the country. So I don't cross that line as bringing my product in the ambulance to sell it. I just don't do that. That would be wrong to do. And believe me, I've told this story to my uppers in the hospital. I work for a hospital who endorses the Locator. And I told them this story, and I said, "Listen, I'm not crossing the line, but you got to hear this." I had a patient who is an adult, a disabled patient that his mother is like 21 years old, and the mother was taking care of him. Their house is hard to find. We got the patient on the way to the hospital. I've done my stuff, and we're sitting. And this woman, she looks at me out of the blue, and she says, I have been looking online. I'm looking for a light bulb that I can put on my house that will flash and attract first responders to get to me because it's so hard to find. What am I going to say? I had to. Tell her. I told her. I said, listen, I got chills even now thinking about it. I told her about our product, and I said, I usually don't do this, but this is appropriate, and I'm not going to sell you one, but I'm going to give you one. And I met her a couple of days later. She came by the station. I gave her a light bulb, and that was 2 or 3 years ago. She's still using it today. And she actually done something I've never seen anyone do. She put it up in the Gabriel. She had an electrician put it up in the Gabriel end of the house.
Sure.
Not
Smart woman.
Front porch. Yeah, she put it up in the Gabriel end. And man, I have had people calling me with videos. Hey Danny, I see the locator. The locator's operating, and they're driving down the driveway, bouncing, and there's a light, and they're excited. I said, if y'all shut up, I'd use this video, but that was real. I mean, it was. I had to say something, but I can't cross that line. I have the opportunity, but I just don't do it. But I do see it every day. The need every single day.
Well, we're going to show. I think we have a couple more pictures in the cache to share with the audience. You guys can describe what's going on, but my salute to all you, fine Americans. Boy, this is just great stuff.
Yeah.
Now, who's this in the foreground here on the right side of the picture?
This is Dr. Michael Tyler, a gentleman that's part of our group that could not make it today. He had a grandson that's playing baseball. The team won, so they had to go into another game, which was at 3:00 our time. So he couldn't make it today.
Well, it's too bad, but you guys are absolutely just a stupendous team, and I love the fact that you cover the whole spectrum here.
This is Johnathan and I in New Orleans at EMS World. So this is where EMS comes together from all over the world. They have this once a year, and we got a lot of attention there.
Oh, I bet you did. I bet there's probably a lot of use for that light. I was stationed in New Orleans for 4 years, so
Wow.
That was part of my beat flying a helicopter at one time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they absolutely loved it. It's believe it or not, and I don't know if this is what should be said if it ain't, but this light bulb is hard to sell because here's my reasoning behind it. Yes, everybody, if they see through our eyes as first responders, they would understand. But most people, if you think about it, that's me getting up at 3 a.m. to go on a call. But anyway, I told Amanda not to show my picture, but she did anyway. Thanks, Amanda. But if you think about it, a boat. Anybody owns a boat will know anything you have on that boat, you are made to use it like a safety vest, a horn, a throw seat. Anything. When we drive a car down the road every day, we are forced to wear a seatbelt. You ride a motorcycle, in most states, you're forced to wear a helmet. Everything that will save our lives, we are forced to do it. And that's because we, as humans, think that we're not going to get hurt, that we're not going to have a heart attack, we're not going to have an emergency. We're just not until it happens. And that's when we think about it. And that's why a product like this is hard to sell. The smoke detectors in homes, they're not, we're made to use them. You can't get a house built without one.
Right.
So we're made to use those as well. We have contact. We have got one city that's here close to us that has them in codes. We worked hard, especially Carl. Worked really hard, and we got it in code. So any house that's being built, they have to have one before it can be signed off.
We also now have one in Alabama.
In Alabama, we've got one in Alabama now. So
it's in the codes. All new construction has to have a light before you can get a sale.
Danny, you really make a good point, because what was turning over in my head is, you do your smoke detector, and the CO is now part of your pretty much of your smoke detector as well. So the carbon monoxide warning will go off. You have those set up. This just is, it goes hand in hand with it. There's just no reason not to do it. And I'm going to give you one more thing, one more application. I have lots of folks around me and myself. I have a small rescue farm here. And a lot of times your barn or you have outbuildings that are further away. And you have the ability now. That when people get to your property, they can go to the right building.
Right.
The vet had to come out here at 3:00 in the morning because one of the horses was down, and she was down bad, and it was a really bad situation. Now they know exactly where to go. They know which building they're going to.
I had that same thing happen to me the other day. I was going on a call. We pulled down the driveway. There's like 5 different structures in there. I'm talking livable homes,
Right.
and barns and other things. And we went to the wrong one twice before we got to the right one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many uses, man. It's just like, like I said a while ago, if people can see through our eyes as first responders, everybody would have one on every single house in America.
See, Jonathan, after you left, Danny just blind leading the blind. I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness! I had to let my dog out.
Well, I got to let the pig in after the show. After we finish the show up, so he's looking for his nightly nightcap, so to speak. He likes to have a little libation before bedtime. Don't we all, or at least many of us?
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, you, as I said, I salute you. I think this is just the beauty of this product, the straightforward, the engineering, and the where it came from, how it was first used. I mean, it all lines up, and it's silly for people not to be investing in this. Is a very easy thing. We really hang on yes, that was St. Patrick's Day with that Zeppelin.
Zeppelin. All right.
Yeah, Zeppelin. Yeah, he's quite a character. I better not let him know about the light.
Put a locator light bulb on his collar right here.
Yeah, he'll probably want to activate, and do that, especially when he's getting into it with one of the dogs. We have one dog that the two of them don't get along. A little bit of a domestic situation that comes up every now and then.
Yeah.
But all the other applications we talked about, long hang time, this is something that goes designed to be in the elements. You just put it into a light fixture, it's going to be there. We've seen what it looks like. I urge people to go to the website. It's not an intimidating website. It's very straightforward. You can see all the information. And you gentlemen were very kind and listeners that of what I call the greatest audience on the planet. You have offered to take some money off of that, and I appreciate that. So if you use the words On Eagle's Wings, the name of the show, when you make the order, you will get a 20% discount. Now, I think that is incredible because I don't think that the buy-in price is very expensive to begin with, but this is a phenomenal advantage. So we just had Mother's Day. We have Father's Day coming up. You really care about your parents and you have your parents, this is an easy one. If you're a parent and you have children, this is another one that's just too easy to do. It's stupid not to do it. And I don't use that word lightly, and I don't mean it to be insulting, but it's what you were saying, Danny. It's kind of the wake-up call. 10 years ago, you still had people not wearing seatbelts. I don't know anybody who doesn't just automatically now when you get in the car, put the seatbelt on.
Instinct.
It's instinct because we've done that.
Yeah.
We are on our phones. We are on our computers. Here is the perfect complement to go to your fire warning system that's in the house, a smoke detector, this light, and this light displayed can mean the difference between life or death. It can mean the difference between really severe injury and a quicker recovery. And we have older folks. I mean, I keep my eye on my parents plus a number of other folks that are elderly, but I can't be in all places at one time. but this light bulb can. That light can be hanging there, and it can be easily triggered by that.
Simple.
That's as simple as, and sometimes simple is so good,
Yeah.
it brings tears to your eyes, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
So let's go around the horn one more time. Johnathan, any closing thoughts that you want to bring up?
First off, thank you so much for having us, for doing this. I appreciate what you do. Every time you sit down with folks, I mean, it's educating people that may not ever be educated on the topic. So I applaud you for doing what you do. The Locator 911 is, like you said, it's simple. It's potentially life-saving. And reflecting on what Danny said, it's better to need it, not have it, and to have it, not need it,
Right.
or vice versa. So for $39, if I knew that I could get help to my family 3 to 4 minutes sooner, that's $39, and I would spend 10 times a day. So,
absolutely, and considering that this is not even we're not even talking. You have to do this on a yearly basis.
Right.
These things are going to last a long time.
Yeah,
and you're at a price point that you can get a couple to set that up. Any way you want to have that set.
Yeah.
And like I said, obviously we're coming from this living in a more rural setting. This applies in the most urban of setups as well as your suburbs on that. Anything that you can do to identify that, to bring that, is the difference. In the old days, they used to have the alarm, the siren for burglary when I was a kid, hanging on the outside of the house, and you would hear it go off. And sometimes they were designed to go to fire. They were designed for the same thing, to give that warning coming out. I grew up in a house. It was a multiple unit house when I was a kid. And my grandfather was the landlord, and he had the little panel that said when one of the fire warnings went off, which apartment was and where it was coming from. But the whole building knew it was going on. We've been around this a long time, but now we have the ability to take control of this ourselves and control this and make a significant difference in the worst times that could possibly come up.
Yep, absolutely.
Danny, how about you? Danny and Carl.
Man, thank you again for allowing us to come on to your show. It was such a blessing for me and all of us. I can speak for everyone. Everybody, please get one. Listen, as a first responder, I've been almost 40 years. It's just when we first started, we had paper maps, we had roll-up maps, we had map books that we had to track down the coordinates off of a map. Being in the military, you know what I'm talking about. And even remembering back then, and now it's supposed to be really good with GPS. It's not getting any better. It's a little easier, and if it's right, it's great. But a lot of times it's not. But thank you for having us on. I'm excited about it. I've been excited about it from the day that Johnathan came into my house, sitting at this table where Carl and I are sitting at right now, and he told me about the Locator 911 after he told me about that call that he went on, and that 2-year-old in cardiac arrest. I knew then this is something that we got to do, and we did. We busted our butts. We got Carl on board, Dr. Tyler on board, and our group of 4, we know each other. We've been around each other for years and years. We're not strangers. We know each other, and we all think the same way about how this light can save lives. But again, I appreciate you bringing this on, and everybody get your bulb. We stand behind our product. If you do, by chance, get one that doesn't work, we'll replace it with no question. It works. It works well.
Well, the bond that you talk about with the 4 of you is obvious, just in the parts and pieces, and of course, I think the way that it's gone. And Carl, I'd like to get your last couple words in, because you have you're kind of the underwriter to this. You're doing the yeoman's work, getting this into codes, making sure that we keep advancing this kind of a concept. And this is what goes back to what I earlier said when I opened the show. A lot of the shows that I do, and one of the big missions of On Eagle's Wings, is to bring people interesting things to think about, but also important things to deal with, to deal with the kinds of things that we're encountering every day. And this is why this one is just so simple and straightforward, and the beauty of it just cannot be undersold and understated as far as I'm concerned. But Carl, I'll keep talking too much, so you gotta cut me off. But one of these northerners that talks fast and never stops talking.
Thank you so much, Commander, for having us on your show. And I just hope everyone that watches this show understands how important a simple device like this can be. As a parent, my children have them. And it's just a wonderful device that can save lives. Bottom line, it can save lives. These two gentlemen, Johnathan and Danny, firsthand have witnessed that it does save lives. And we've got countless people that have contacted us that it saved a child's life. And it's just, it's a God blessing that Johnathan came up with this device, and we thank him every day for it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And it's been my honor to have you on the show. The Locator 911 Freedom Light. You need to take the time. It won't take you long. It's not complicated. And I think you're going to draw the same conclusion. And these gentlemen have been kind enough for folks that hear the show to give it a discount. And I stress that you should do that. And if you talk about gifts that make a difference in people's lives, this is it. This is something that you can do that really makes a difference. We go around every year and we make sure that the smoke detectors have the fresh batteries and everything in it. The beauty of this is once you put that in there, you don't have to worry about the battery. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's going to be there, and hopefully it doesn't come up. But when it does, as it was said earlier, when you need it, it's better to have it than not have it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, thank you so much
Thank
to the
you.
audience and to all God's peace that surpasses all knowledge and understanding. And please get this light.